Hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn anatomy. Today the bronchi also will be. And after we've done it, we're gonna do leg stretching, standing leg stretching. And if you participate in the standing leg stretching, then it's at your own risk. So in medicine, we were coming across bronchiectasis, and there was a little description with a photo. Or whatever it is, of the lungs, of the bronchi. And it's not that a big explanation, but so we have a little bit in anatomy as how the lungs are built. Now here's written, first of all, these are tree-like lungs, and what we mean with them is that there is first the trunk, which is the trachea, and then these branches, which are in the bronchi, and then the very small, thin branches, the bronchioles, and very much at the end, where like the leaves, there are the alveoli. And in these alveoli, where the gas exchange is happening between the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. And as far as I understand it, it's just that we're lying just so close next to each other. There are two chambers. In one of them there's the carbon dioxide, the other one the oxygen. And they are just lying so close together, these two chambers, with just a very thin membrane or whatever between them. But it just happens that it goes through them or so, and that's how the breathing works. Okay, what is written here? Anatomy. These are tree-like lungs. The lung resembles a tree, of which the yellow trachea, here on the picture yellow, so the main trachea in the middle, also called windpipe, is the trunk. This trunk divides into the branches of the main bronchi, which in turn subdivide into the twig-like bronchioles. I don't know what twigs are. These continue to branch into the ending clusters of minute air sacs. I don't know what minute air sacs are, but they are called alveoli. And they give up oxygen to tiny blood vessels and absorb carbon dioxide from them. Now, and I also that the lung has on the left side 3 lobes and on the right side 2 lobes, because one is in use for the heart of the place. And what wonders me always with on all these things, that's never as well. I can't see that this lung has here on the right side just a smaller lung, because here would be the heart also. Whatever. And we just came across this information, so I want to use it now. But we have at least that there is the trachea, and then the trachea branches into the bronchi. And these branches then branch further, they subdivide, they branch further into the bronchioles. They are, I don't know how big they are now, twig-like, I don't know what twigs are. And at these ends of these continue to branch until the ending clusters of minute air sacs. And they are branching then even more, very, very, very fine to the alveoli. And in them, the gas exchange is happening. And one is add that also, even though it's not written here, at least as far as I had come with gathering information. But on one side there is the oxygen, on the other side there's the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, where did it come from the where did it come from? The blood pumps over the right ventricle, over the pulmonary artery, the blood to the lungs. This is logically the deoxygenated blood, the blood with the carbon dioxide in it. And then it spreads further into the capillaries, and then very fine into the alveoli, and there the gas exchange is then happening. And on the other side, there's now the oxygen, that is the one which was breathed in. And now it comes in, and it goes then through the pulmonary vein to the left atrium of the heart. Now I don't completely get it yet, but I think I'm going to add it and I'm going to save it. And this alveoli, on one side there is the oxygen, and the other one there's the carbon dioxide, and now through a very thin membrane just between them, there the gas exchange is happening. It could be that I heard this information in chemistry-related topic. So it was not that much about anatomy, maybe, but it was said that it happens like that in the lungs, I think. So it's not out of the blue, but it happens there. Okay, let's try it. I have a sync camera, and I'm going to start it now. Okay, what do you want to say? There's the trachea. The air is breathed in and comes through the trachea, then down into the lungs, and where the trachea splits into the bronchi. And these bronchi then divide further and further into bronchioles, and these bronchioles then go more and more further dividing into twig-like. These are the bronchioles, but bronchioles are the twig-like one. Further and further are they dividing them, and then very fine, and at the end of them, and the ending clusters of minute, yes, until they end then very fine divided in, I don't know, maybe I had the number once, maybe millions, I think, of these alveoli, and these alveoli, there are two chambers, and on one side. Now, how does it not happen? Is there the blood in? It must be the blood. But, or is that now happening with the blood in the... I don't really get that now. Now, where's now the lung? Because that is inside of the lung happening. Is now the lung out around it? And that thing is like, just like a sponge. Like you put a sponge in a bucket of water, what it's now called. And it just, the water comes in into the sponge. Because that would not mean that on one side there is the oxygen and the other one the carbon dioxide. It is on the one side the oxygenated blood, it's done it on the other side the deoxygenated carbon dioxide rich blood. But where's now the air? If the air is around these alveoli all the time, then it doesn't really make sense all that. Or is it just that one? No, it has to be like that. But how does it now have to do with something with the membrane in the middle? Is the membrane the lung in the middle? Maybe we're going to skip that part. Or I'm just going to say what I know. If the people think further, we should then look it up what it's actually. And where in these alveoli, where on one side is the oxygenated blood coming from the heart over. Going to the, where does it come from? This is where it goes. There's the deoxygenated blood coming from the heart over the inferior vena cava to the left ventricle, and from there then, from the left ventricle then over the pulmonary artery to the lungs. And it goes to the lungs and goes to the alveoli. But where to the alveoli? To the chamber where it is deoxygenated. But how does it now get oxygenated? Because on the other side it is suddenly oxygenated. Because in the middle, but the oxygen, so the air breathed in, is around these alveoli. Or comes the air which is breathed in between into the... I don't really get it. I have one room with two chambers, and in both is blood. One is oxygenated, one is deoxygenated. How does it happen that we get oxygenated? There has to be somewhere a chamber just with the oxygen, or the carbon dioxide, or the air, or whatever. Okay, we make it short. Into the alveoli, where the gas exchange happens between oxygen and carbon dioxide. But that's a bit what everyone hears everywhere, and at least a bit further. It's hard to come on from it, because again, here's not more information to it. Which give up oxygen to tiny blood vessels and absorb carbon dioxide from them. Let's just try it. Let's look how we can end up. And that is according to Keith Hodgkins, was it, I think. Keith Hodgkin. Family Medical Advisor, page 102. The air is breathed in, comes then through the trachea down into the lungs, and where the trachea branches into the bronchi. And these bronchi then branch way further into the bronchioles, and at the end of the even more branching bronchioles, there are the alveoli. And then there are two chambers, and one of them is the oxygen-rich blood, and the blood, oxygen-rich blood, and then the other one is the carbon dioxide-rich blood, and there they are just separated by a very thin layer. The oxygenation cannot happen. So trachea, and then the bronchi, then the bronchioles, and then at the end the alveoli. That is according to Keith Hodgkins, Family Medical Advisor, page 102. Now I'm going to stop the second camera. And we have at least the information we have so far. And we're going to keep hunting them down this information to find out what is happening there. There are two chambers. Well, that's I'm wondering, is that an anatomical question? There are two chambers. And logically, in one comes just the deoxygenated blood from the heart down, and in the other one, when it gets oxygenated somehow and goes back to the heart, and then there's the blood circulation. And the bloods, I know that it happens because the layer between them is just so thin. There are millions of them, so it's very, very small. And it just happens that the gas exchange happens. There's no one doing anything. It's just chemistry, as far as I understand it. But where's no air? Where does the air come now into the game? Are these alveoli just swimming around these millions inside of this big bucket of air in the lungs? Or does the air come which is breathed into one of the alveoli? Why is that nowhere explained? Why is that not explained here? Okay, that was the anatomical part. If you were here for anatomy, you can go directly to the next part of anatomy. We will do now the standing leg stretching. If you participate in the standing leg stretching, then it's better to risk. We're bringing one leg up and we're pointing with the foot down. Not taking the other leg up, we're pointing with the foot down. If you participate in the standing leg stretching, it's better to risk. And we're taking now the leg at the ankle and we're making straight back and we're pointing with the knee down to the floor, so this is basically stretching the core muscles. Taking the other leg at the ankle and having a straight back and pointing with the knee down to the floor. Next exercise, here, doing the garden gnome. Heel onto the ground and from the toes in. Now move the leg from left to right. Other heel onto the ground, pull the toes in, move the leg from left to right. And now we're doing the chain stop block. Leg out to one side, the toes are pointing forward and we're stretching the inner side of the leg. Over to the other side, the toes are pointing forward and we're stretching the inner side of the leg. And now we are doing the Niagara Falls. Legs wide apart, we will begin. And out and we're hanging down. We only have to come deeper down by breathing deep in through the nose into the chest. And by breathing out from the mouth. Again in. And out. Again in. And out over to one leg. Lift again in. And out. And again. And out over to the other leg. Lift again in. Out. And again in. Out back into the middle. Leave it in. And out we come slowly with the round back up and making it with a backwards shoulder roll. We forgot the other exercise. Let's do one. We're doing first the one who tried not to look too obvious. Next, round shoulder divided by. We're going down and we're pulling a little bit down, but careful, just a little bit. This is not a back stretch, just a leg stretch. So pull just carefully a little bit down. And we're going over to the Salto Angelo, the feet together, and we just keep on hanging down. Here, no pressure. Just breathe deep in and out. Again in and out. Again in and out. And again in. And now we're coming up. We want the muscles to relax stretching. So don't try to come deeper down. It may have to work. Just relax. And no pressure. We don't want to injure them. So we're closing with a nice exercise. Legs wide apart. We're breathing in, going down. And out. In. Out. Breathe in, close the legs. And out. That was for standing leg stretching. Thank you very much. And at least.